Hi, my name's Eric. Welcome back to my channel. Happy holidays. Today I'm going to share my 50 favorite albums of 2021. A few days ago, I shared my favorite songs of 2021, so please check out that video if you haven't already. And as I did in that video, I'm going to start by laying some ground rules and giving some disclaimers. First, this is a subjective favorites list, not a list of the best albums of 2021, so I have chosen these albums based on how much I personally enjoy them. And because of that, there are going to be plenty of great albums that I leave out, so I'm going to leave a playlist of songs from each of these albums plus all of my honorable mentions in the description down below. And as with my songs list, the order of albums here isn't super important. If it's on here, it's an album that I love and have listened to multiple times. And finally, my goal is to share as much music that I enjoyed as possible, so every artist gets only one slot. If an artist released more than one album that I loved this year, then both or all of those albums will occupy a slot together, and that position will be determined by the highest ranked of those albums. So for instance, if an artist released two albums that I loved and I would rank one of them number 20 and the other number 23, then I will put them both in spot number 20. With all of that in mind, before I dive in, let me know in the comments down below what your favorite albums of 2021 were. I really enjoy reading your list and hearing your thoughts on these albums. Check the description box for links to lists of nonprofits you can donate to. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos and hit the bell icon to be notified when my videos go live. When I realize my shirt is probably cut off, for context, it is the Grinch. So without any further ado, I'm going to work my way up, starting from number 50, 30 by Adele. On 30, Adele took more risks and dove deeper into her soul, R&B, and traditional pop inspirations. In doing so, she drew us in closer and showcased once again her rightfully renowned vocal talents. Number 49 is Voyage by ABBA, their best album since 1981. 40 years later, ABBA are still at the top of their game, churning out upbeat dance songs and heartwarming ballads, often on par with some of their greatest hits. Number 48 is Ignorance by The Weather Station. The most memorable moments on the Sophistopop album are conceptual and beautiful, drawing from art pop and heartland rock in restrained and abstract songs about love and heartbreak. Number 47 is The Ballad of Dude and Juanita by Sturgill Simpson, an utterly charming outlaw country concept album that puts the aw in yeehaw. It's very different from Sturgill Simpson's alt-country and bluegrass work, but just as endearing. Number 46 is Ska Dream by Jeff Rosenstock. This totally transformative rework of last year's No Dream in the unexpected genre of ska punk succeeds because of its unrestrained energy and playful spirit that balance out its political lyrics. Number 45 is The Marfa Tapes by Jack Ingram, Miranda Lambert, and John Randall. This collection of live recordings has the feeling of three friends singing around a campfire, displaying these artists' technical skill and penchant for both light-hearted and emotional country music. Number 44 is Ancient Dreams in a Modern Land by Marina. On Ancient Dreams, Marina returns to and builds on her theatrical approach to pop, while also showcasing how her ways of thinking have matured and developed. Number 43 is Promises by Floating Points, Pharoah Sanders, and the London Symphony Orchestra. When a post-minimalist electronic producer, legendary jazz saxophonist, and classical orchestra come together, you get a body of work that's ethereal, poignant, and surprisingly accessible. Number 42 is Illusory Walls by The World is a Beautiful Place and I Am No Longer Afraid to Die, an exhilarating and life-affirming Midwest emo album about, as the name of the band suggests, finding the motivation to do good and be better in the face of mortality. Number 41 is Animal by Lump. This collaboration between Laura Marling and Mike Lindsay is an avant-garde and enigmatic art pop album about shifting self-concept and life as a musician. Number 40 is Screened Violence by Chvrches. The Glasgow band returned with some of their strongest hooks and boldest vocals to date, using horror movie imagery to convey feminist themes. Number 39 is Solar Power by Lorde. While it's not as structurally tight as melodrama or brooding as pure heroine, Solar Power contains some of Lorde's most confident performances and globally minded songs, expanding her sonic palette to include acoustic, psychedelic, and folk pop. Number 38 is Two Saviors by Buck Meek, a heartwarming collection of folk and alt-country songs that showcase Buck's distinct songwriting perspective and uniquely gentle vision of Americana. Number 37 is Sympathetic Magic by Typhoon. The surprise follow-up to the indie rock band's grand and wonderful offerings is more concise and insular, weaving the theme of mortality into our tumultuous political climate. Number 36 is Forever in Your Heart by Black Dresses. Technically the first album after the duo's disbanding, Forever in Your Heart is a tortured, defiant, and noisy fusion of metal, industrial, and electronic pop music. Moving from a violently loud album to one that's quieter and more tranquil, number 35 is I Know I'm Funny, Haha by Faye Webster. The mellow sound of alt-country singer-songwriter Faye Webster's fourth album softens the melancholy of her poignant lyrics. Number 34 is Kicks 2 through 5 by Arca. Arca kept us fed this winter by releasing 4 fantastic full-length albums in 1 week. They all have very different styles, from deconstructed club to modern classical, but they're all unified by Arca's one-of-a-kind and otherworldly production and transhumanist philosophy. Number 33 is Get Up Sequences Part 1 by the Go Team. One thing that this English plunderphonics band always delivers is joy. Get Up Sequences feels like a collage of pivotal political sentiments from different places in time, all filtered through sunshine and psychedelia. Number 32 is Sling by Clairo. The 70s-inspired acoustic folk of Clairo's Sling is a big change from the indie pop of her debut Immunity. But more importantly, it displays an increased sophistication and distinctiveness in her songwriting. Number 31 is Romeo by Sega Bodega, a highly original and immaculately produced electronic pop album full of dazzling, successful, and re-listenable experiments. Number 30 is Let Me Do One More by Illuminati Hotties. To me, this is singer-songwriter recording engineer Sarah Tudson's best work yet. The album features fun garage punk songs and insightful ballads that show off her impressive and well-rounded range of musical abilities. Number 29 is Prioritize Pleasure by Self-Esteem. The follow-up to Rebecca Taylor's stellar debut Compliments Please takes her lofty, loud pop and elaborates on its exploration of gender norms, love, and, as you might expect, learning to respect yourself and come into your own. Number 28 is Ocean to Ocean by Tori Amos. This woman absolutely dominated my 2021. Many of you have said that this is one of her best albums since Scarlet's Walk, and that was actually the last album that I listened to before Ocean to Ocean was released. So I feel lucky to have been graced by yet another career highlight as a new big fan. Number 27 is Sometimes I Might Be Introvert by Little Sims, a sprawling and ambitious body of work in the vein of great concept albums like Janelle Monáe's The Archandroid. Sometimes I Might Be Introvert is a compelling and grandiose statement by a rapper who's quickly solidifying her status as a visionary. Number 26 is Vulture Prince by Arooj Aftab. This album is so beautiful. It fuses South Asian styles of music, including ghazal and qawwali, with jazz to create something delicate and luminous. Number 25 is To Hell With It by PinkPantheress. The debut mixtape by one of this year's biggest viral breakout stars draws from the UK garage music of the 90s and is as virtuosic and creative as it is fun. Number 24 is Happier Than Ever by Billie Eilish. Billie and Phineas saw a potential sophomore slump creeping up on them and absolutely kicked its butt. This album takes the darkness of When We All Fall Asleep and balances it with a retro jazz-inspired glamour and poise. Number 23 is Dawn by Yeva. Listen to this fantastic debut once for its outstanding vocals and come back for its fascinating neo-soul songwriting. Number 22 is Civilization by Kero Kero Bonito. This compilation of KKB's 2 recent EPs takes their characteristic imagination and deepens it with a compelling attention to storytelling. Number 21 is El Madrileño by C. Tangana, a flamenco hip-hop fusion in the vein of Rosalia's El Mal Querer. This album is consistently both indulgently brooding and instrumentally extravagant. Number 20 is Home Video by Lucy Dacus, her most personal and wistful album thus far. Between its nostalgic indie rock sound and truly devastating lyrics, Home Video will stab you in the heart or the eyes, one way or another. Number 19 is Sparkles and Debris by Lydia Ainsworth. I will not rest until Lydia Ainsworth is no longer criminally underrated. Sparkles and Debris combines electronic pop with elements of funk and R&B, building off her mystique with some great art pop that you need to hear. Number 18 is Queens of the Summer Hotel by Amy Mann. The Broadway-style follow-up to 2018's amazing Mental Illness, which is behind me, takes that title even more literally by being set in a mental institution. These songs, inspired by Girl Interrupted, are blunt but beautiful investigations of mental health and substance abuse. Number 17 is 333 by Tinashe. If you ask me to pick the best Tinashe album, I would be stumped because her output has been so consistently excellent. 333 contains some of her most off-kilter experimental R&B songs and her most accessible radio-ready bops, reminding us why Tinashe is a legend in the making. Number 16 is Thirstier by Torres. Released just a year and a half after the stunning Silver Tongue, Thirstier picks up where its predecessor left off, but ups the intensity and the sonic variety, introducing elements of heartland rock, new wave, and even dance music into Torres' stirring and romantic indie rock. Number 15 is Clamor by Maria Arnal y Marcel Bagués. This excellent and unique art pop album is colored by the Catalan duo's background in Iberian folk, and like its cover, it lives in a dynamic and mystical world all its own. Number 14 is Carnage by Nick Cave and Warren Ellis. I love ghost teen, and Carnage largely follows a similar style with somber musings on grief, both personal and universal, delivered with devastating anguish. Number 13 is Inside by Bo Burnham, the rare comedy album or soundtrack that also excels as a pop album. Ranging from laugh-out-loud funny to emotionally fraught, Inside is an internet-savvy and politically conscious reflection on loneliness. Number 12 is The Turning Wheel by Spelling. Tia Cabral expands her sound from witchy minimal synth to fantastical baroque pop. Her distinctive vocals and imaginative lyrics yield awe-inspiring results. Number 11 is Sinner Get Ready by Lingua Ignota, a truly harrowing, one-of-a-kind neoclassical darkwave album. The puritanical horrors that Kristen Hayter sings about are rooted in our, and specifically her, current-day reality, which makes the album even more disturbing and impactful. Alright, we've arrived at my top 10. Pretty much everything from, I'd say, 9 through 15 was a bit of a toss-up, but this is where things landed. At number 10, I have an overview on Phenomenal Nature by Cassandra Jenkins. On the album cover, there's this sparkle that looks like it's floating in the air, and that's exactly how the album sounds. Its gossamer folk production lends itself to the meditative lyrics that Cassandra Jenkins sometimes sings and sometimes speaks. With its themes of unity and longing, an overview on Phenomenal Nature is a salve in yet another disconnected year. Number 9 is For Those I Love by For Those I Love. This is the second album in a row that involves a lot of spoken word, which is unusual for me. But For Those I Love blends spoken word with progressive house and real-life voice recordings in a moving montage of moments from a friendship. This tribute to musician David Balfe's late best friend is absolutely touching, and even if you don't think spoken word is your thing, give this album a try because it's amazing. Number 8 is Blue Weekend by Wolf Alice. Another one of the year's biggest surprises for me was Blue Weekend, an excellent rock album with memorable hooks and emotional depth. It offers dream pop grandeur on The Beach and Delicious Things, punk defiance on Smile and Play the Greatest Hits, and earnestness on How Can I Make It Okay and No Hard Feelings. And it all comes together in my favorite alt-rock album of 2021. Number 7 is Hey What by Low. If you enjoy their album Double Negative as much as I do, then you will love Hey What. While the songs at the album's core are less conventional, the waves of distortion and industrial noise are even taller and denser. And these overwhelming drones convey not only personal but also social disarray. Hey What perfectly complements Double Negative, and its Grammy-nominated engineering is a marvel. Number 6 is Sensational by Erika DeCazier. This subtle, seductive R&B album is smoother than smooth. And it still makes room for emotional openness and experimental UK-based production. While Sensational taps into nostalgia for Y2K R&B, it's forward-thinking not only in its lushly layered sonic textures, but also in Erika DeCazier's self-assured, independent attitude. A sign of a great album is being able to discover a new favorite track with every listen, and that's exactly what happened to me with Sensational. This album took me totally by surprise, and for that I am so grateful. Number 5 is Nurture by Porter Robinson, an album for someone who's really going through it and just needs a big musical hug. Just like with Sensational, I found a new track to love on every listen. And possibly no other album this year affected me the way Nurture did. It even worked its way into my dreams, which is not okay, but also very impressive. The vibrant and always evolving electronic production is so impressive, and I love the way that Porter uses pitch shifting to track his internal dialogue. Nurture gives me the affirmations that I need, and it's so therapeutic. At number 4, I have A Beginner's Mind by Sufjan Stevens and Angelo DeAgostine. Sufjan's music tends to touch the heart in one of two ways, by being devastatingly sad or heart-rendingly uplifting. Alongside the very talented Angelo DeAgostine, Sufjan continues to deliver on these themes, this time inspired by movies. Who else could take The Silence of the Lambs and interpret it as being about wanting love? Who else could take Pinhead from Hellraiser and make him the protagonist in an empathetic and vaguely religious story about yearning? No one, that's who, and that's why I love this album. Number 3 is Daddy's Home by St. Vincent. Daddy's Home is the incomparable Annie Clark's 6th solo album as St. Vincent, and to me, it's her warmest since 2009's Actor. On her self-titled album and Mass Seduction, she often delivered social commentary with a clinical but brilliant wryness. But here, the retro psychedelic soul production by Jack Antonoff, generous backing vocals, and grounded storytelling are disarmingly sincere. And Annie's impeccable songwriting, guitar playing, and vocals are as strong as ever. Daddy's Home creates a troubled but enveloping world that I'm eager to return to often. At number 2, I have Jubilee by Japanese Breakfast. On her third album as Jay Breckie, singer, songwriter, best-selling author, Grammy nominee extraordinaire Michelle Zauner chooses happiness without sacrificing the evergreen complexity of her songwriting. Her first album, Psychopomp, was a grief-stricken but straightforward indie rock album, and its follow-up, Soft Sounds from Another Planet, was a so-called failed concept album. But Jubilee fully commits to sonic variety, spanning genres from new wave to sunshine pop and even to ambient house. All the while, Michelle continues to explore love, relationships, and just a bit, grief in her most impressively consistent but diverse set of songs to date. Which brings me to number 1, my 2021 album of the year, Blue Banisters by Lana Del Rey, and also Chemtrails Over the Country Club. I know I'm cheating, but it's my list, these are my rules. Officially, Blue Banisters had the spot. I would probably have put Chemtrails just a couple spots below, but I, again, just wanted to save room for as many artists as possible, so Chemtrails comes along for the ride. Blue Banisters is my album of the year not only because it impressed me and continues to impress me, but also because it impacts me emotionally. This probably has something to do with the fact that I've been listening to Lana for close to a decade and have developed an attachment to her voice and songwriting. But there really is something special after all this time to hear her consider herself and her artistry through the art itself. On songs like the opener Textbook, she directly addresses her personal and public life. And she evokes her musical history in a meta way by continuing to incorporate lyrical references and Easter eggs, but also by including songs that fans will know were written for past albums like Ultraviolence. Between her two amazing albums, Lana defined 2021 for me. And that's why she has not only my song of the year, but also my double album of the year in Blue Banisters and Chemtrails. That is my list. Like I said, please share your own favorites in the comments, as many as you'd like. I love reading lists, especially if they're yours. Thank you for closing out 2021 with me. I have had so much fun discovering new music with you, and I can't wait to continue doing that in 2022. In the meantime, happy holidays, have a happy and healthy new year, and until next year, that's it.